Hello, friends. Welcome back to APAC Global India Healthcare Conclave, the second day of this prestigious healthcare platform where we are getting or seeing the participation of leaders from various aspects of healthcare fraternity. And now we have a special guest with us who is going to give a special presentation on hospital infrastructure, new challenges and opportunities. The presentation will be given by Mr. Jaishankar Natarajan, AVP and Head, New Business Development, Godrej Appliances. We welcome Mr. Jaishankar.
Thank you, Souvik, and many thanks to the organizers for kind of inviting me here to speak on this subject. And the topic which I was asked to speak was something which is relevant to the public health space and the hospital industry in general. Today, I'm going to kind of take you through a presentation on what tech interventions and design thinking can do to alleviate problems in healthcare industry, especially the infrastructure part of the healthcare industry. I'll quickly move on to the sharing my screen and take you through the presentation. Good morning once again. My brief presentation is on tech interventions and design thinking to alleviate challenges and opportunities through tech intervention. A quick profile of the healthcare industry within India. It's sizable healthcare infrastructure of close to 25,000 primary healthcare centers, 153,000 sub-centers, now providing services to close to 70% of the country's population living in rural areas. However, this is grossly inadequate. If you look at some of the key indices like blood banks, now only 3,100 first referral units are actually having capability of storing blood, and this leads to around 68% of blood storage linkage facility, which is grossly very inadequate. So what ails and what are the challenges in maintaining and expanding healthcare infrastructure? Very quickly, if I have to summarize on very broad levels, overburdened healthcare infrastructure. Now, if I look at current statistics at dismal 0.7 beds per 1,000 people, and significantly lacking in comparison to what is available with WHO, which is around 3.5 beds per 1,000. Equally grossly lacking is physical manpower, especially on physicians. It is 0.7 number of physicians per 1,000 people. Reduced patient access to healthcare. 80% of the population still doesn't have any significant healthcare insurance coverage. And affordability is a common theme which you run across when you want to address any healthcare issues. Approximately 68% of Indians have limited or no access to essential medicines and vaccines, which is a critical need to eradicating diseases. And I'll come to specifically vaccines, blood, which is where tech interventions from our side has led to significant expansion activities, and I'll specifically take you through one case study. High sickness rate of equipment, long response to breakdown of equipment, 10 to 15% of breakdowns in PHCs and CHCs, long power outages, especially in rural areas. You see this huge need for power outages last for 4 to 5 hours, and you don't have continuous power supply available. Even the quality of power is suspect. Now the voltages frequently vary, making appliances struggle to maintain performances. Skewed hospital density. Now rural, hilly and remote areas are very, very underserved, whereas cities have abundance of healthcare facilities. If I say abundance, it is at least to relative to what is available in the rural areas. Lack of technology and medical research. Less impetus on technology leads to a lot of wastages in tier 2 and tier 3. I will point out a case on vaccines and blood, which are available as statistics for global level. During COVID, lack of research and digitization was released more specifically in patient treatment, vaccine development and hospital management. These are areas of focus even for the government currently to quickly cover the gaps and move up upstream. High attrition rate. Now we're seeing a lot of healthcare specialists actually moving out of the country for more lucrative and rewarding career outside. Hospitals in tier 2 and tier 3 cities struggle to keep well qualified doctors. It's not just infrastructure within the hospital, but the quality of living around the hospital also prompts high attrition rate. Shortage of quality assurance, ever increasing need for quality and accessible healthcare due to emerging communicable and non-communicable disease is clearly felt in, and this is especially so during this COVID-led pandemic situation. And lack of standardized quality of service delivery. And so now government is pushing for NABH accreditation so that there is standardized access and service delivery across the country. I'll take you through a case study of Godrej, how it intervened, especially in the cold chain, to get technology to resolve some of the key issues. What ails the cold chain within this public space? The statistics are appalling. Close to 50% of vaccines in India get wasted each year, and improved cold chain infrastructure is required to reduce wastage and higher immunization coverage. Now, the immunization coverage is a focus area of the government, and it's doing its best to kind of address all these issues. One of the typical areas of failure of vaccines and wastages is because of freezing, which is what is now leading the government to procure grade A technology of cold storage devices, which are actually anti-freeze. When we talk about vaccines, we also look at blood, which is equally very important. In the last 5 years, over 28 lakh units of blood and its components were discarded by the blood banks across India, exposing very serious loopholes in the nation's blood banking system. Now, all of this is once again same typical issues which were faced in vaccines: temperature breaches due to power outages, large temperature differential within storage chamber. Now, part failures, especially of thermostats, control devices, poor maintenance, lack of timely service. What has Godrej done in this? It's brought in technology to address some of these problems, especially in the cold storage device needing stable 4 degrees. What is this technology? Sure chill technology actually replaces a lot of operating parts. It is derived out of nature and works on the anomalous behavior of water. What does anomalous behavior of water say? It says that water is densest at 4 degrees and is much lighter below 4 degrees and above 4 degrees. And that's the core principle which has been used to design this refrigerator. This phenomena is seen in nature, and especially during winter times in cold countries, you have frozen river bodies on top, and you have a lot of aquatic life swimming happily below the surface, below the ice surface. So this phenomena is what we have tried to bring alive in the product. Now, if I have to very quickly explain this construction, we will take a container which has got cooling coils, this green cooling coils on top, and you fill this container with ambient water at 32 degrees. You induce cooling around around this water jacket, and what happens is water molecules around the cooling coil starts getting lowering temperature. They cool down, and at the moment it reaches 4 degrees, it becomes very heavy. That's the anomalous behavior of water. It's dense at 4 degrees. It's very heavy. It settles down. While it settles down, it displaces the warm water up. So there is a natural current which is which starts when this phenomena starts, and quickly at point in time you will have the entire cabinet or compartment at 4 degrees. What we do is we continue to cool this place, and at 4 degrees the temperature starts lowering near the cooling coils. It reaches a phase transition temperature of around -2, and it starts flaking into ice. Now, ice we know is lighter than 4 degrees because of this phenomenon. It starts floating up. So we create this bank of ice and top, which is at minus 10 degrees, and water below at 4 degrees. This situation is very, very similar to what you see in frozen lakes. Now we carve out a place around this 4-degree chamber, water chamber, to store vital medicines, vaccines, blood. Now this is something which will always remain at 4. Let's give me an example that you access the syringes which are shown here. Ambient air at 32 degrees centigrade enters into this chamber. Because this chamber now is surrounded by 5 sides with 4 degrees of water, there is rapid heat exchange, and within minutes the chamber is back to 4 degrees. What happens to the water around the chamber because of this heat exchange? It rises in temperature, and the moment it rises in temperature, there's a huge column of 4-degree water on top. So water 4 degrees is heavier, it settles down. Lighter water, which is heavier, which is at a elevated temperature, moves up and hits the ice bank. The moment it hits the ice bank, there is heat exchange and it comes back to 4 degrees. So this phenomenon enables the refrigerator not to be too much dependent on power, external power, once it is stabilized. And this gives us this whole stability of maintaining temperature irrespective of power. We can claim that we have ranges of models which can stay at 4 degrees for 3 to 4 days, and there are certain ranges which are meant for rural areas and specifically designed for parts of Africa, where because we supply to around 32 countries, which stays at 4 degrees even at 10 to 13 days at 43-degree ambient. This is one example which we have lifted from our own experience in Vietnam. The blue one is our technology, Shuachil, and the other one is available technology, which was also running in one of those healthcare centers. You can see the variation the other normal technology is having, and there are breaches at both the negative side and the positive side, which is actually stressing out the vaccines. There are a lot of wastages because of this. So if I have to summarize very quickly the benefits which this technology gives: one, it is completely anti-freeze. It eliminates the risk of freezing. Exceptionally long holdover, 3 to 13 days, as I mentioned. Now you measure temperature anywhere within the chamber, it is less than 1 degrees variation. So I'm talking about temperature which is at 4 degrees. You measure it at any point, it will be between 3 to 4 degrees. It is PQS, WHO PQS pre-qualified. UNICEF accepts WHO pre-qualified units only, and this is something which meets that criteria. Once it is stabilized, once in a while, it needs only 2.5 hours of power every day, electricity. No, it is good enough to kind of keep the charge ready. It is vertically upright, easy to access and remove, innovative use of water. So there is no battery, there is no thermostat, and no passive parts for failure. And it's ideal for solar energy. We have versions which run on solar as well. We have a wide range which covers both the public space as well as the private hospitals across the portfolio, and we have blood bank refrigerators also which are operating. It has got daily temperature monitoring devices, both digitally as well as charts which are required in some of the blood banks. We have lab refrigerators and freezers, and also ultra low freezers which are required for blood plasma. It's a complete range which an hospital requires when it is being set up or when it is being upgraded itself, and this is something which we can cater to. Besides this, another case which I want to talk to you about, besides the technical intervention, is our design thinking process. When you look at furnitures, for example, now you have customers wanting a desirable range of furnitures and there has to be a viability around it, and there has to be feasibility around it, given the space constraints, the layout constraints which are there. Now, the intersection of all these three is what we understand is possible to be delivered to the customers, and that is our trigger for thinking on design. Now, some of the aspects of this has been added into our Chrysalis Nova Plus motorized breads. Now, I'll briefly talk about the insights is about semi-motorized beds is coming from butterflies. Unique bed with 101 design features. Talks about giving caregiver comfort. Fail-proof says it operates in one way. A lot of failure analysis has been done to ensure that there is zero failure in all these critical care issues, and it's compliant with a lot of European market requirements and C certified. We have extensions of beds in manual and forward range. I'm just showing you quick images. Obviously, we invite you and encourage you to come to our website and look at the entire product range, which is much beyond what is being shown here. We have gynecological procedural chairs, which are very ergonomically designed, both for eye contact, closer examination, adjustability of height based on the patient's physique. So all of this is triggered to give you an ergonomically correct postures for caregivers. This is also one design award for this particular design. We have patient mobility, rapid range, trauma care, stretcher trolleys, and wheelchairs. A whole range of accessories which are needed by the hospital. SS trolleys, utility trays, other and accessories, separators, beds, cylinder carriers, hangers, stools, and what we provide is also turnkey projects on designing and refurbishing hospitals and clinics and daycare centers, general OPD, cabinets, wall storage units, doctors' works desk. So this is in brief a couple of examples of how Godrej as a group company intervenes in the healthcare space, both from technology and design thinking space, to kind of give solutions to hospitals, public care centers, and we would be glad to connect and provide you solutions which are very customized to your needs across various hospitals. We can integrate various appliances to give you one-shot view of how it is working in different areas, maybe in your primary healthcare center, primary hospital, tertiary hospital, the secondary hospital, and give you a range of how it is operating in warehouses and stocks. So you are rest assured that your vital medicines are safely stored and monitored. I thank you, thank the organizers once again for having me, inviting me for this brief presentation to share what solutions Godrej has to offer to the healthcare space, especially the hospitals. So, Vic, I kind of
Thank you, Mr. Jaishankar Natarajan, AVP and Head New Business Development, Godrej Appliances, for giving a special presentation on hospital infrastructure, new challenges and opportunities. And Mr. Natarajan has focused on two aspects of Godrej Appliances work for the hospital sector. One is the technology front, when he talked about shear chill technology, and also the design thinking process and integration of technology and design thinking process together to build a comprehensive healthcare solution for hospital management. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jaishankar Natarajan. Let me also inform you that we have more than 1,000 registered delegates with us for this two-day conclave, and also it has been broadcasted live in Facebook and YouTube through APEC Digital News Network handles. Thanks a lot for joining us. We are moving into a short break, and then we'll come back with a very important session of the day, a panel discussion on realigning the model of running hospital in post-COVID era, cost perspective for sustenance. Do join us.
Thanks, Avik. Pleasure joining here.